Hi guys, this is Blowjos, and today I am going to be giving you a video review of the recently released Hasbro Avengers Assemble, I think it's called Gamma Smash Hulk. These just hit stores and they're kind of the replacement for Marvel Universe figures. So without further ado, let's just get right into this review. Unfortunately, when I opened up the package, I literally had to destroy the box, so there won't be any box covering in this review. But what I will say about it is that it was very plain, and I mean, it displayed the figure nicely, and there wasn't much to complain about. It held the figure nicely. There were a couple rubber bands, but it literally has to be destroyed for you to take out the figure, so whatever. Packaging was nice. I'd probably give it about a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Displays the figure nicely. But once you get the figure out, you kind of get to play around with him a bit, and I will say, not bad. Considering this is the replacement for Marvel Universe, it's not bad. I'll start off with articulation here and then kind of work my way into the other things. Articulation is fairly decent. For the head, there's not a lot of up and down. Well, there's not a lot of up anyway, so you can't really get him to kind of, like, if you move the diaphragm down, you can't get the head much past that, which kind of works because characters are, like the other characters in this line, are fairly small. So it's, I mean, it works as a neck, but little bit of down, or a lot of down movement anyway, sorry, and a lot of decent, like, side to side, but it's basically just a swivel with a lot of down movement, unfortunately. But then you get down to the shoulders, and they're really nice. They've got a really good range of motion, and they can spin. Here, I'll straighten out the arm here. The shoulder joint can spin 360 degrees and gets a lot of out and in movement. There isn't a bicep swivel, but there is an elbow swivel hinge, so it bends really good. Like, you can bend it all the way past a 90-degree angle and then again past a 90-degree angle. I'd say there's about 120 degrees of range there, and then of course it swivels around. Now that unfortunately is where the articulation ends in the arm. There is no wrist swivel, no wrist hinge, nothing. So everything you've got is in the elbow, right here. And I mean, it works, but considering, you know, we were just spoiled with a bunch of articulation in the Marvel Universe, it does feel a little bit lacking. He's got a good diaphragm joint here. Can bend that far down. Here, I'll move the arm up here. You can bend that far down and that far back. He's got some decent side to side. That's probably the best diaphragm joint I've seen on a figure this small. But he's got that, no waist swivel, which is okay because real people don't really have waist swivels either. And this is kind of the second point that I'm kind of a little wary about. My figure here, anyway, my Hulk's right leg does not move forward and back. The left one does just fine, but this one seems to be stuck firm, and I tried moving it and I could see the plastic turning white, so I don't really want to break it or anything, so been kind of careful with that. He's got an upper thigh swivel, so this piece can technically just spin all the way around as well. And then he's got the same articulation in the knees as he did in the elbow. So a nice bend, really good bend actually. It's not quite like double jointed range, but it's decent amount. And it actually, like, as you can see, the joint is colored purple. So it looks really good. And then we get down to the best part of the lot. He's got hinge ankles with a really great pivot. And I mean, like, that's kind of like the cream of the crop for this figure. Like, he's really well articulated, considering the joints that he has are, you know, a little bit lacking. For what he's got, he's done really well. So I'll give the articulation for this figure, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Not perfect, but you know what we got is really great. Paint-wise, again, this is another knock against the figure. There's no shading. Well, you know what? No, that's a bit of a lie. The skin on the chest is shaded, and the lower legs is shaded. It's just a very light shade. It doesn't really look like there's a lot of depth. It feels very plasticky, I will say, the paint. The pants as well, they're just one shade of purple. No shading whatsoever. But there's no slop or anything, so I can't really complain. I'll zoom in on the face sculpt here for you so you guys can see. He's got a really nice painted face. The eyes are painted really well, and there is a bit of shading there. But the hair, no highlights whatsoever, just straight black. For paintwork, what's there is good and works well, so I'll give him, I'll say 3.5, 4 out of 5. It's decent work, it's just not a lot there. And he's also got this blemish, or not blemish, this coat on his leg, which is a bit of a letdown. But whatevs. So, that all said and set aside, I'll bring in the previous Hulks that we've gotten so far. So this is the Avengers Assemble Hulk. This is the Marvel Universe Hulk that I'm not sure what series he came out in, but decent Hulk nonetheless. And here is the crappy little $7 Avengers Assemble Hulk. So he's the smallest out of the three, the Avengers Assemble Hulk, but this is just the one that basically, like, if a kid's screaming and crying, the mom can get him like a $7 figure kind of thing. He's only got 5 points, but as you can see, he's the smallest of the bunch, so whatever, we'll get him aside. Now between these two, I will say that the paintwork on the Marvel Universe Hulk is a lot better than the Avengers Assemble Hulk, but this one is quite a bit bigger. It's just, this one has a lot more heft to it than this guy does. And one thing that always has annoyed me with these figures, with the Marvel Universe, like the bigger figures, is that their hip swivels are so hard to move and then keep in like a decent pose. It just feels like I'm gonna break the hip every time I move it. So while it is a great Hulk, it doesn't really have that play factor that, you know, something with better hips would. That being said, though, my hip is stuck. So, I mean, if you guys can get this Hulk and the hip is not stuck, I mean, obviously you can't check that because it's in a package, but the range is just so much better on a hip like this than it is on this. Like, this looks nicer, but the ball and socket hip has a lot more range, so you can't really get a lot of poses out of something like this. But this one does have the better paint job, darker shading. The head sculpt looks angrier, whereas this guy's head sculpt, here I'll do a quick like close-up on the two here as well. This guy's head sculpt looks more like calmly enraged, whereas this guy's is like he's gonna frickin' kick your ass kind of thing. But nonetheless, you know, each of these figures are great figures. They've got their pros and cons. But I will say, if I had to pick now, I would definitely go with this new Avengers Assemble Hulk. The range is just so great, and honestly, I'm gonna give this figure a solid 4.5 out of 5. Like, you know, he'd get a solid 5 if the hip articulation was good. Like, the lack of paint tops is, you know, a little bit off-putting, but as a replacement for Marvel Universe, this figure really stands out. I'm really impressed with what we've got so far. This guy just came out in the first wave of Avengers Assemble. There's also Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, and Red Skull. And this guy is clearly the winner of the bunch. He's an awesome figure, great articulation, and he really feels like he's worth the money. So, that being said, this is Blojo signing out. Keep collecting whatever it is you collect. Bye-bye.